The surgery had been a success, they said. The doctors were optimistic and my family was relieved. I should be grateful, they said. Everyone around me was celebrating, but I felt a strange emptiness. And I was, sort of. I tried to smile and join in their joy, but something inside me was unsettled. But gratitude felt like a distant star, while the reality of my situation was a crushing weight. The isolation was suffocating. Confined to my room, my world had shrunk to the four walls around me. The once familiar space now felt like a prison. My friends sent texts, but their words seemed to come from another dimension, a dimension where I didn't walk with a limp and grimace with every step. Their lives continued, while mine was on pause. Days bled into each other, marked only by the changing light filtering through my window. The monotony was unbearable. The boredom was a living thing, gnawing at my sanity. Each day felt longer than the last. I felt forgotten, irrelevant, like a book left on a shelf, its pages gathering dust. My existence seemed to fade into the background. My phone, once a portal to a vibrant world, now felt like a cruel reminder of everything I was missing. The photos and messages were bittersweet. Then one afternoon a shadow fell across my window. I looked up, startled. It was a rare moment of curiosity breaking through the fog. It was a man, his silhouette framed against the setting sun. He seemed out of place, yet oddly comforting. He had kind eyes, but they held a deep sadness, a story etched in their depths. I felt an inexplicable connection. He introduced himself as Jeff Reynolds, our new neighbour. His voice was gentle, and his presence was a welcome distraction. Little did I know this chance encounter would change everything. It was the beginning of a new chapter in my life. Jeff was different, older, quieter, with a weariness about him that spoke of battles fought and scars worn deep. He had a way of listening, truly listening, that made you feel seen, heard. He'd sit with me on the porch swing, his presence a comforting weight beside me. We talked about everything and nothing, the weather, books, the annoying squirrels that frequented his bird feeder. He told me about his wife, Mary, her laughter like wind chimes, her absence a gaping hole in his life. He spoke of their dreams, their shared love for gardening, their plans for a future that never arrived. His voice would crack, and for a moment the sadness in his eyes would spill over, leaving him looking lost and vulnerable. I, who had been so consumed by my own perceived misfortune, found myself drawn to his quiet strength. He had lost so much, yet he faced each day with a quiet dignity that humbled me. He didn't offer platitudes or empty reassurances, just his presence, his stories, his willingness to share his pain and his memories. As the days grew shorter and the air turned crisp, our bond deepened. The changing seasons seemed to mirror the evolving nature of our friendship. We developed a routine, Jeff and I. It was a comforting ritual that brought a sense of stability and warmth to our days. Every afternoon, as the sun began its descent, casting long shadows across the lawn, he'd arrive with 2 steaming mugs of hot chocolate. The aroma of the rich, velvety drink filled the air, adding to the magic of the moment. We'd sit on the porch swing, wrapped in the warmth of our shared silence, watching the sky transform into a canvas of fiery hues. The sunsets were breathtaking, each one unique, painting the sky with a palette of colours that seemed almost unreal. Jeff had a knack for storytelling. His eyes would light up and his hands would move animatedly as he spoke. He painted vivid pictures with his words, transporting me to different worlds, different times. His stories were like windows into his soul, revealing the depth of his experiences. He told me about his childhood on a farm, the smell of freshly baked bread wafting from the kitchen, the sound of his father's laughter echoing across the fields. These memories were precious to him, and he shared them with a sense of nostalgia. He spoke of his time in the army, the camaraderie, the fear, the loss. His voice would soften when he talked about the friends he had made and lost, the battles fought and the lessons learned. Each story was a thread, weaving a tapestry of a life lived, a life filled with joy and sorrow, triumph and heartbreak. It was a rich mosaic of experiences that shaped who he was. I, in turn, shared my own hopes and dreams, my fears and insecurities, Our conversations were a safe space where we could be vulnerable and honest. He listened patiently, never judging, offering words of encouragement and gentle guidance. His wisdom and kindness were a source of comfort to me. He reminded me that life was a journey, filled with unexpected twists and turns, but that even in the darkest of times there was always beauty to be found if only we knew where to look. His perspective on life was a beacon of hope, illuminating the path ahead. Jeff wasn't a scholar or a philosopher, but he possessed a wisdom that transcended books and lectures. His insights came from a life well lived, filled with experiences that shaped his understanding of the world. He taught me the importance of living in the moment, of appreciating the small things, like the gentle rustle of leaves in the wind, or the way sunlight dances on water. The warmth of the sun on my face, the sound of laughter, and the joy of spontaneous moments. The taste of my mom's apple pie, a flavor that brings back cherished memories of family gatherings. He showed me that kindness wasn't a weakness but a strength, a powerful force that can change lives. That empathy could mend broken hearts and bridge seemingly insurmountable divides, creating connections where none existed before. He taught me about resilience, about finding the strength to rise above adversity, to keep going even when the path ahead seemed impossible. To find meaning and purpose even in the face of unimaginable loss, to turn pain into a source of strength. He never preached, never lectured, but his life itself was a testament to the indomitable spirit that resides within us all, a silent guide through the complexities of life. He taught me that it's okay to grieve, to hurt, to feel lost, and that these emotions are a natural part of the human experience, but that we must never allow ourselves to be defined by our pain. Instead, we should use it as a catalyst for growth. Through our conversations, our shared silences, our laughter and tears, I learned the value of genuine human connection. I began to see the world through different eyes, appreciating the beauty in everyday moments. I learned that everyone carries a story, a unique narrative that shapes who they are. A history etched in their smiles, in the lines on their faces and etched in their frowns, revealing the struggles they've endured. I realized that beneath the surface we are all connected by our shared humanity, by the threads of our experiences. Our capacity for love and loss, joy and sorrow, binds us together in a tapestry of life. Time, once a stagnant pool, began to flow again. My limp became less pronounced, the pain a distant memory. I returned to school, to the cacophony of the hallways, the chatter of classmates, the demands of homework. It was overwhelming at first, this sudden immersion back into the world I had so desperately missed. I tried to call Jeff to tell him about my day, to hear his reassuring voice, but the line went straight to voicemail. I told myself he was busy, tending to his garden, running errands. I convinced myself that I was being silly, needing constant reassurance. I was fine now, healed back in the world. I didn't need him as much anymore, did I? As the weeks turned into months, my visits to Jeff became less frequent. I got caught up in the whirlwind of school, extracurricular activities, and hanging out with friends. I told myself I was just being a normal teenager, that this was how it was supposed to be. But deep down, a part of me knew I was neglecting something precious, something irreplaceable. The news came like a punch to the gut. Jeff was gone. A massive heart attack, they said. It was sudden, unexpected. I stood there, phone clutched in my hand, the words echoing in the hollow space of my disbelief. Gone. The world, once vibrant and full of possibilities, seemed to dim, the colours fading to a dull grey. I couldn't comprehend it. Just a few days ago he had been fine, laughing at my jokes, sharing his stories. How could someone so full of life be gone, vanished like smoke in the wind? The weight of his absence pressed down on me, suffocating me with a grief I had never known. I went to his house, the house that had become a sanctuary, a place of solace and shared stories. It was eerily silent. The porch swing hung motionless. The 2 mugs we used for our hot chocolate sat untouched on the table. I could almost hear his voice, his laughter, echoing in the stillness. But it was just my imagination, a cruel trick of my grieving heart. Jeff's death was a wake-up call, a stark reminder of the fragility of life. It shattered the illusion of invincibility that shields us in our youth. It forced me to confront the impermanence of everything, the knowledge that time, once past, can never be reclaimed. I carried the weight of his absence with me, a constant ache in my chest. But as the initial shock subsided, something else began to emerge from the depths of my grief. Gratitude. Gratitude for the time we had, for the lessons he had taught me, for the gift of his friendship. I realized that Jeff's legacy wasn't just in his stories, his laughter, his quiet wisdom, but in the way he had touched my life, in the way he had opened my eyes to the world around me. He had taught me to look beyond the surface, to see the humanity in everyone, to appreciate the preciousness of each moment. I vowed to honor Jeff's memory not with tears and sadness, but with action. I would be kinder, more empathetic, more present in the lives of those around me. I would reach out to those who seemed lost or alone, offering a listening ear, a shoulder to cry on, a kind word. I would embrace life with the same quiet strength and dignity that Jeff had embodied. I would live each day to the fullest, cherishing the small moments, appreciating the simple joys, and never taking a single breath for granted. Jeff's death had left a void in my life, a void that could never be filled. But it had also ignited a fire within me, a desire to make a difference, to spread his message of kindness and empathy. I would carry his memory with me, a guiding light in the darkness, a reminder that even in loss there is beauty, in grief there is growth, and in the face of adversity there is always hope.